Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World, and today I want to talk about the negative effects of the Kulve Taroth siege. Now, before I begin actually addressing all of the negative sides of this siege, I want to make it perfectly clear. I love this encounter. I think it's a lot of fun. I really like the aspect where you can get 16 players in a lobby, all contributing towards the same hunt, even though they are hunting in separate parties. That is something that I definitely want to see iterated upon in the future. Like, bring the community closer together. These kinds of events are the events that really bring the community together, and they're a joy to participate in, at least in my opinion. I love every aspect of that fight. I think it's fantastic. I think the difficulty level is just right so that you can have veteran hunters as well as, you know, the more newbie hunters, and kind of bring everyone together into this encounter and just have everyone have fun. I really like that, and props to Capcom for doing that encounter like that, and more of that in the future, please. But as I've grinded through Kulve Taroth, and as I've played through a bunch of Kulve Taroth encounters, I think I probably killed about 30 of them. Well, not killed, broken the horns, whatever. Completed 30 hunts, 30 raids even of Kulve Taroth. And I'm saying 30 very arbitrarily because there's no actual in-game way to see. I've began noticing a problem with this particular event, and that is that it is interfering with the typical gameplay loop of Monster Hunter. Now, for some people, that might be good, but, you know, maybe if you're a bit of a more traditional Monster Hunter player like me, you kind of really appreciate the gameplay loop that is in place. And for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter has always been hunt this monster and, you know, get its bits, craft its armor, make its weapon, and then move on to hunt the next monster and get his bits and craft his weapons and his armor and all this other stuff. And how does the Kulve Taroth interfere with that particular ecosystem, so to speak? Well, essentially, if you take into consideration that Kulve Taroth can drop over 300 weapons, I still don't know the exact number. I've checked the list a while back, and I was looking at it like, Jesus Christ. But, like, a lot of those weapons are useless because anything that is Rarity 6 from Kulve Taroth, unless you're still, like, progressing, you know, if you're at the end game, anything from Rarity 6 Kulve Taroth is pretty much garbage to you. It's just vendor trash. But having said that, there's still a lot of really good weapons, and we're going to be talking about that. But first, I want to really bring to the community's attention the whole aspect of the gameplay loop, because, you know, it used to be you want a fire weapon, go hunt a Rathalos, for instance, for Rathalos parts, and then craft that fire weapon. Or go hunt an Anjanath for Anjanath parts and get the parts for that weapon. But the over 300 weapons available in the Kulve Taroth loot table essentially cover all of the elements, as well as a lot of them can also be used as elementalists, further reinforcing the elementalist playstyle that a lot of us have gotten used to, which I'm still not a huge fan of the elementalist playstyle. I'm a sucker for elemental, you know, being, you know, aligning myself with the element that the monster that I'm fighting is weak to. I like that kind of stuff, even though it's not as good for certain weapons. Let's not get lost in that discussion. But ultimately, while Kulve Taroth is in effect, which I think is one of the main reasons why this is a timed event, while Kulve Taroth is in effect, you don't have that many reasons to go and hunt or start a new weapon and go through a weapon tree of a certain monster. Because why? Just hunt Kulve Taroth and you're going to be getting weapons, which eventually you might get the Kulve Taroth version of the weapon that you actually want to get. And sometimes, usually it's a little bit different. There will be variations, like there will be rarity variations, which means, oh, this weapon can only be augmented this amount of times, or maybe this one has less elemental damage, more raw damage, or vice versa, this one has less raw damage, more. So there's variations in the loot table, right? And as you go through these different variations of weapons and stuff, you begin to wonder, well, why should I go through the trouble of hunting all of these other monsters to craft the weapon that I want when I can just go up to Kulve Taroth and get like a Rarity 8 weapon, and I didn't have to hunt for gems or hunt for plates or hunt for claws or anything like that. And I don't know, to me, again, it just kind of breaks the cycle of the crafting. I mean, sure, for armors, everything is the same. If you want to craft a specific bit of armor, like there's no armor drops, there's only weapon drops in Kulve Taroth. But again, it's like those weapons are really, really powerful. And I would be okay with it if they would like funnel you into further not further augmenting is the wrong word, but like further adding on top of those weapons. Like say you get the rarity 6 weapons, right? And then say you would get something that would have like a piece of Rathalos skin on the hilt, or depends on the type of weapon. Like say your sword and shield, and you get like the Rathalos sword. There's a golden Rathalos sword version, so to speak, in Kulve Taroth's list of weapons. And you get that weapon, right? And then imagine that, okay, so I got this weapon, but now in order to fully take advantage of this weapon's potential, you would have to go hunt a Rathalos for like a Rathalos ruby or something along those lines, or an Azure Rathalos. So to fully unlock the power of the weapon, like the fact that you just get the weapon instantly and it's just like full powered up, ready to go. It's not augmented. You still have to augment if you want to, but the fact that you don't actually have to go and hunt something else to fully power the weapon, it's weird for me. And again, I think you guys let me know in the comment section if I'm just exaggerating, if that's just a me problem, because I'm actually curious. I want to have this conversation with you guys. Very curious to know what everybody else thinks about it. But it's just that whole thing of it's weird to just get the whole weapon as a drop from a monster. It's again, to me, it just kind of breaks the crafting cycle. But I'm just rambling on a little bit here. Moving onwards, one of the other problems that a lot of people have with it is naturally the RNG aspects of it, which, to be honest, I wouldn't really have that much issue with how much RNG there is involved for most of the weapons, because most of the weapons, it's like, okay, so you got this version of the weapon, and then you have the version that you can get from the traditional monsters in Monster Hunter World. Like you would have the Rathalos sword, you would have the Kulve Taroth version, and then you would have the Rathalos version, and you can pick whichever one you want to use. But the problem with this is that there are certain weapons that are just flat out better and do things that you can't get in the traditional Monster Hunter weapons. Like, let me give you an example. Since I'm a guy who uses a lot of gun lances, the one example that's going to instantly jump to mind is that you guys know, because I've mentioned this before, when the Devil Joe gun lance came out, I said, I wish it was wide level 4, because that would bring something new to the gun lance tree. Whereas right now, there's no wide level 4 gun lance until Kulve Taroth showed up. So there's, I believe, 2 gun lances that I've seen in that massive list, which both have level 4 wide shelling. And for those of you that don't understand, the level of shelling of a gun lance pretty much dictate the level and type of shelling of a gun lance pretty much dictates how you play that gun lance. It's not like other weapons, like, maybe you're playing a different type of charge blade. Ultimately, you're still gonna eventually get to the super amped elemental discharge. With gun lances, it's not like that, because you got the slam burst style, you got the long shelling style, you got the wide style, which all kind of lead to different gameplay. And supposedly wide shells is what deals the most Wyvern Fire damage. But it's something that I personally haven't gotten to test out, because you would only have wide level 3, and then you have normal and long level 4 in the tree, which will ultimately deal more damage than wide level 3 with Wyvern Heart. I'm getting too deep into gun lances. Basically, what you need to understand is that there are 2 wide level 4 gun lances that you cannot get any other way currently in the game. And as you can imagine, that is something that I'm definitely trying to get. And because of the RNG aspect of it, it's going to be very hard for me to get those 2 specific guns. I just want one of them. I don't even want 2 of them. I just want one. The one gun lance. And interestingly enough, I've gotten 2 Rarity 8 gun lances. The same one. I got the same gun lance twice for Rarity 8. And it was the only Rarity 8 gun lance that I wasn't interested in. And I got that one twice. That's a desire sensor right there, working full steam ahead. So yeah, the RNG is also a bit of a problem, but I think a lot of people are also ignoring, like, look, this event's going to come back eventually. Even if you don't get everything that you want, you know, it's going to suck, particularly for me because I want to do builds around those wide level 4 gun lances, but it's going to suck, but eventually the event is going to come back. So RNG, also a problem, but not as big of a problem to me as the whole disrupting the gameplay cycle thing. And then the other thing that is, I kind of feel like this almost feels like an end of when you played an MMO, like when you get to around the time where you get to the end of an expansion or you get to the end of the vanilla version of that MMO, usually something like this would pop up, right? So like, oh yeah, let's just break the game with all these amazing weapons that do all of these amazing things. So in a way, it's really exciting because there's all these new possibilities for the weapons that Kulve Taroth is dropping. I mean, I myself have already done like a bunch of different builds that I haven't even talked about in the channel for a bunch of different weapons. I've gotten like a sleep spam build. I've done a new mini railgun because they're just a flat-out better version of the Legia Shatter Christ in this event. Just flat-out better in every way, at least in my opinion. And it's like, so I've done a bunch of builds and it's exciting, you know, but ultimately it's like, well, once this event is done and like, let's say I got all the weapons that I could possibly want, I'm not really going to be looking to craft all that many weapons because I've gotten like weapons for pretty much all the friggin' situations of like ever. Like right now I have 15 tabs filled with weapons, okay? On top of all the what I think previously before this event began, I had like 4 tabs of weapons. Now I have 15. And this is after me probably already selling like 50 weapons or something like that. So it's like, geez, 15 tabs worth of weapons. Actually, let me count that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 25 weapons times 15, which I'm not going to do that math. That's over 300 weapons. Dude, it's way too many weapons. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to see what comes next because now I kind of feel that Capcom needs to one-up themselves after this because this almost feels like, okay, this is here's the final versions of your tiers of weapons, and then now we're gonna one-up it. Like, are they gonna spread? Are they gonna increase the tree, the current crafting tree? Are we gonna get new materials? What is the deal? I don't know. But anyway, I want to talk about these problems, and most importantly, I want to get your feedback on it. I want to know what you guys think about all of the stuff that I've talked about in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Comments and feedback in the comment section below. If you enjoy my content, consider subscribing and hitting the notifications bell and then clicking all because apparently that's a thing now. Yeah, see you guys on the next one.